There's no commute. I don't have to commute. I can run my whole business from this little thing.
We're about to cross over our 5 millionth download.
It's easy to do, and it works.
This country is buying my apps. This country is buying my apps. This country is buying my apps. And this country is buying my apps.
Hi, this is Mars of the Lunchman. I'd like to tell you a compelling story about a guy named Chad Mureta. He's the author of the best-selling book, App Empire, and the creator of what I've been told is the simplest, most effective system for building a real business creating and selling iPhone apps. On the rare occasion that Chad speaks at an event, he usually finds himself mobbed by people who want him to show them what he knows, almost like he's a rock star of some kind.
He shared the stage with Tony Robbins, been the subject of a TV special on 60 Minutes with Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, and he's been featured on TechCrunch, Mashable, Entrepreneur Magazine, and on Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek blog. What if I told you that Chad had stumbled into and perfected a way that just about anyone could build a small fortune in the fastest growing marketplace in the world? It has nothing to do with affiliate marketing or gimmicks or loopholes, and you don't need to be technically inclined or have a bunch of money to get started either. Chad's shown his system to a handful of top internet marketers. Several of them have built products for their lists based on what he showed them. One of them even got a company acquired thanks to Chad's system. So when the chance to work with Chad presented itself, I'll admit I was intrigued, but I figured he was probably some kind of a programming ninja, and that's how he'd done it. That is, until I heard Chad's story. You see, 3 years ago, Chad Mureta didn't know anything about building or selling apps. In fact, he couldn't even create a web page. He'd gone from being, get this, a male model to running a struggling real estate business. But the real story begins at 75 miles an hour on a dark, rainy night along a stretch of North Carolina highway. That's when Chad's whole world was turned upside down in an instant. He was driving home from an NBA game in Charlotte, exhausted from habitually working 100-hour work weeks at his real estate business, barely getting any sleep at all. Out of nowhere, a deer bolted in front of his truck. Unable to swerve, he slammed into the deer, flipping his truck 4 times. The truck was totaled and Chad's arm was completely crushed. The doctor said he'd never be able to use his arm again. Now, I'm not talking about most arm injuries where you can't lift weights for a little while or play basketball. From his elbow all the way up to his shoulder, Chad's arm was so shattered it seemed unlikely he'd ever be able to write, type, or even lift 10 pounds again. He was essentially one arm, and to make matters even worse, it was his dominant arm that was damaged. The story of how Chad went from a man with no hope to an app millionaire is so compelling I couldn't resist the urge to get to the bottom of it. It took me some major wheeling and dealing to get a bit of time with Chad because he's got a pretty sweet life now as an app store millionaire, traveling all over the world doing whatever he wants to do. He only works about an hour a day, but I coerced him over to my friend Andy Jenkins' back porch in La Jolla, California. I wanted to see if I could get to the bottom of this incredible system of his. You're going to see for yourself, Chad's just a regular guy, not some super slick snake oil salesman, and he doesn't have anything other than an honest bone in his body. But I'll let him tell you the rest of his story.
I laid in the hospital bed with all these thoughts, very depressed and crazy amount of pain, getting thrown all these different pills, and all these different IVs, just trying to get away from the pain. And I had a friend of mine come in and he said, I know you're in a bad place. I know that you might not be able to use your arm ever again. And he pushes me over an article about the app business, this elusive app business, this business that I'd heard about but never really knew what it was. And I started reading this article and getting, pretty much curious about this new business, this new industry. I guess a few hours on morphine gets you creative because I started sketching out my first app without even knowing what the heck the app business was. And then next thing I know, I had my first app in the store. Again, not even knowing what the heck it was. About 3 weeks into the store, I started seeing significant revenue, and I realized this is not some kind of, fairy tale. This is a real business with real opportunities.
That's when Chad got hooked. From that point on, between the painstaking physical therapy sessions, he was on his phone looking for more information about the app business. Before his near-fatal car accident, he'd even bought into some of the crazy magic pill systems about making money on the internet. But the internet is just too overcrowded for those tactics to work, and most of them are just too complicated. Chad didn't know how to make a website. He didn't know how to write a long sales letter. He didn't want to burn all his time creating content like articles and videos, and he really didn't want to do things like have to go out to local businesses and pitch them on internet marketing. The beauty of this app business is it doesn't rely on websites, selling in person, complicated copywriting, or time-consuming content creation. I asked Chad why he created his system and why he was so passionate about the app business.
I never want to get to a position where if anything ever happens to me or family, where I couldn't survive. You know, I always wanted to make sure that I had something that was working for me, that was automated, that had a system in place where not only where it's working for me, but I could work at any condition I was at. You know, I'm not sure about you, but freedom for me is the most important resource. And when I was working 18, 20-hour days in real estate, I had zero freedom, and I became really a prisoner to life. I fast forward 3 years from that moment, I created a system, an empire that constantly had a network of apps, and it allowed me to travel all around the world. We had 35 million downloads worldwide with 46 different apps over 3 companies. And I really was working an hour or so a day, you know, living this incredible life of all the things I'd always wanted to do my whole life growing up.
Now, if you're like me, you might be wondering how similar Chad's system is to a lot of the internet marketing systems out there. I mean, in the past 5 or 6 years, there have been so many get-rich-quick using the internet schemes that have been pushed down our throats. I wanted to know what makes Chad's system any different.
What most people are doing with their internet business is that it's like a stampede where people are running over each other, and it's just an overcrowded space. So my solution is getting into a brand new industry, a brand new business like the app business. The app business provides a lot of different things that are completely different than the internet business. For one, it's brand new. It's like going back to 1997 and jumping in the internet business. It also allows you to run everything from a phone, right? You literally have your business in your pocket, and I'm here to teach you exactly how to do it from start to finish, from any stage of where you are, whether you came from farming background or you came from a computer science background. It doesn't matter at all. What if I could show you a business and an industry that's actually a lot of fun, that you could wake up and you could just be a kid again and you could play, where you're not tied to a desk, you don't have to go into a little cubicle, you don't have a certain schedule, where you could literally carry around your business in your pocket. What if you could live your bucket list? What if you could travel around the world, do things that you've always wanted to do, stuff that you read about in books, and you could manage your business? What if you could go throughout your day and not even think about your business because your business is working for you, and you could make a bunch of money without even realizing what the heck you're doing? What if I could show you something where if you got sick, you wouldn't have to go into, drag yourself into an office to work, because you could actually stay home and heal properly? What's different about my system is that it's real, first of all. It's my steps broken down from when I first started from that hospital bed until, building this amazing empire and selling it off, step by step, exactly what I do. It's the real raw material, but it does take effort that you take seriously, because this is a serious business that will completely change your life. It's not just, 1 or 2 people can do this and they're the minority. No, it's people that follow the system and spend the time will get proven results, period.
Well, I'll be honest and say that most of what Chad says about what can be done using a system sounds pretty good. I mean, who doesn't want a totally autonomous lifestyle and a business that just spits out money while they sleep? But the thing is, I'm a stats guy. The devil is always in the details. So I did a little bit of research of my own. Some on the App Store and some specifically on the results. People had achieved using Chad's system. Apple stated in its most recent press release that there are more than 315 million App Store compatible devices in use worldwide. Man, that is a lot of eyeballs. So, dividing the total number of downloads by the total number of app-compatible devices worldwide means that the average Apple device user downloads just under 80 applications. So the average number of app downloads is up by 18 and steadily climbing since January of 2011. And 67% of those are paid apps. Now, according to Horace Dayju's research on the Asimco blog, app property owners like Chad and the people he's taught his system to are bringing in an average of approximately 23 cents in revenue per app.
This is based on comparing the number of app-compatible devices sold to the total of $4 billion in payouts that Apple has made. And that number doesn't take into account the money you can make from banner ads and affiliate promotions within your apps. When you factor that in, every app download is worth an average of about $1.02.
Now here's the thing, the main reason that the stats prove there's a huge island of opportunity to be capitalized on here is because right now the rate of app consumption is far outpacing the number of app creators serving the App Store market by a nearly 3-to-1 ratio. That's right, the amount of apps being created is not even coming close to the number of apps being downloaded per user. A big part of this is that countries like China and Africa are bringing in new users in droves who download apps like crazy. Chad teaches ways to get in front of all these overseas eyeballs. It's an enormous opportunity, and it's no wonder that just about everyone that Chad shares his system with grows a successful business in no time flat. I've been working with a handful of people that Chad showed his system to prior to the release of his best-selling book. The fact is, just about all of them have seen results in the tens of thousands to millions of downloads range.
At an average of about $1.02 per app, I'll let you do the math. It's pretty easy to understand why most of them have shifted their focus entirely toward the life of an appreneur.
Despite these incredible facts, there are still a lot of myths floating around about the app game. So I asked Chad to talk about some of the myths he's been hearing. Here's the first one.
A lot of myths surrounding the app business and the app game that prevent people from jumping in. One of them is that you have to be super smart to get into this business. For me, you know, I went to school, but I'm definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. You know, and it's pretty simple for me to jump in with relatively low research to find myself into making money into this business. I mean, I still don't know how to upload any of my apps, nor do I want to. You know, half the time I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. Another myth, again, is that you have to have tons of money. It's like starting a company, so you have to have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like you do in most franchises, to get going. And again, that's not true at all. Okay, there's companies that you can hire where you can actually come to them with an idea and say, hey, I have this idea, you know, I've been researching the marketplace, and they'll develop it. They'll spend all the money, and you get a percentage off of that. You know, you can start this business with no money at all, just figuring out what the ideas are, and then once you make money, then you can start your own idea, your own app yourself, and grow it from there. So you absolutely do not need money to get into this business. Does it help? Of course it helps, but you do not need it. And I actually show you how to jump in without having hardly any money at all. People think that because there's been a lot of reports in the last 3 years of 1 and 2 people teams making millions of dollars, that there's no other opportunities out there. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We're just at the beginning of it still. Most of the app store is made up of one-person coders that have no idea about marketing, and they're sitting there in their rooms, in their caves, still coding. You know, it's still at its infancy. So now's the time to jump in. So some people say that, you know, they work full-time. Some people say that they have no time to do anything, let alone start a brand new app company. I started, again, from a hospital bed. You can literally start just by spending a half an hour researching the market and another half an hour coming up with your idea and delegating. And then as you start making a ton of money in this, you can replace your job and then walk away completely. And you can really scale it as big as you want. You know, some people, they want to make $1 million a month. Some people just an extra few $1,000s is a big deal to them. So it's really dependent on, you know, your level. Another myth jumping into this business is that, you know, you really have to jump into a city like San Francisco. The thing is, you can live anywhere in the world because you have sites like Odesk and Elance and stuff like that where you can hire developers all around the world. I want to make sure that everybody gets this, and I want to hold your hand because, again, I started, you know, exactly where most people start, which is not knowing anything, not having any experience, not having any money, and doubting the whole experience. So I've spent a lot of time getting these strategies and these tools and resources to hold your hand through the entire process. So in conversations that I have with people, you know, a lot of people say, well, I can have an app, but how do I get traffic? How do I actually push traffic to my apps? Because without the traffic, it's not going to be seen. And a lot of people don't believe that there's even a way to get traffic, and that couldn't be further from the truth. There are tons of ways that I will show you that you can literally reverse engineer every successful app that you've ever seen, and you can understand exactly why it's successful. And it continues to grow, and it continues to spread, you know, to all the people around you, because your friends, your loved ones, you know, your coworkers, everyone starts to understand that you're a different you, because now you can be yourself. You know, you can go swimming or snorkeling or jump out of a plane if you're crazy. You can do really whatever you want to do. And you have that security in your minds that when you wake up every day, you just made money. You know, you're not scared anymore. You're not living in this fearful scarcity realm where you're like, okay, how am I going to make my next paycheck? How am I going to pay for my bills this month? It keeps coming in when you build that sustainable system. So the internet world is very different than the app world, right? There's a lot of similarities, and a lot of people always, they talk about them like they're the same thing, and they're just not. The nice thing is that people that have been into the internet marketing realm, you know, and it's been a while now, so they've learned certain strategies and tools, and they've, you know, really, some have succeeded, some haven't, but there's a lot of tools that if you know what's going on with internet marketing, you can apply it to the app business. So you can be way ahead because, you know, there's going to be certain marketing techniques, certain copy techniques, certain design techniques that if you've done this in the past with internet marketing, you will steam ahead of anybody else that's jumping in to the ad business. You're going to have a huge competitive advantage. And that's what's exciting about this, is that a lot of people that are used to this mobile lifestyle and living this, you know, internet marketing lifestyle, this is such an amazing door for you to open and jump through. And it's right here. You know, the resources and tools that we have are made for everyone at every level. And we guide you through the entire process. I've seen a lot of different opportunities online. You know, a lot of different opportunities that promise, you know, this dream promised land. And, you know, I've looked into them a lot, you know, as a consumer trying to figure out, you know, what the validity of this is. The app business is very, very different. And the difference is that you carry it around wherever you go in your pocket. You get away from, you know, all kinds of different products. You get away from, you know, all this overhead and all this cost and all this uncertainty of all these other businesses that are constantly being slammed down your throat, and you're jumping into a new mobile lifestyle that you carry with you wherever you go. And the genius part is that anybody can do this. No matter what age, you can literally do this from anywhere in the world, and it's wide open. It's completely wide open, ready to be taken. And the people that realize that, the people that realize how easy this is and how amazing this opportunity is, how these things are only going to become more prevalent as time goes on, are the people that are going to jump up, take advantage of this, and do really, really, really well. You've heard timing is everything. Right now is the time. You have all these devices that are now in places like Africa where they don't even have computers. So they've skipped desktops and gone right to phones. So you have people getting all these phones all around the world that have access to your apps, and it's just growing at an unprecedented pace. You can upload your app within a week, and over 160 countries are now accessing your app, and you're making money from all these places around the world. And there's not going to be this time in the history, 5, 8, 10 years from now, people are going to look back and say, man, I wish I'd taken advantage of it. I wish I could go back to 2012 when the app business was just getting started, when things were just getting figured out. It took me 3 years to figure out this system, to really make things work for anybody. Right now is the best time to get into this business, and I've actually been crazy surprised about this. Every time I go up and speak, you know, I speak at different events, and I'm just a normal guy. I just get up there. Actually, I don't even have any type of a presentation. I just kind of tell about my story. And every time I speak, I get mobbed from people about apps. I mean, people are coming up to me and just, you know, tell me more. How can I get into this? An 82-year-old nurse that was still working came up to me and sat down with a pad of paper and a pen saying, teach me what you know. I'm really interested. Not only am I interested, but I'm going to show my grandkids who are 12 and 13 years old that are interested. I wrote a book on apps, and it is going crazy. It's selling like hotcakes because everybody is interested in apps in every different country. Apps are everywhere, from the United States to New Zealand. Every country in the world is getting these smartphones and downloading apps. In the next video, I'm going to talk about one of my best success stories. I was looking for a developer, and I started talking to this guy and started, you know, really getting to know him. And I found out that he was actually living in a small room with his girlfriend's parents. But I started teaching him a couple strategies, a couple simple marketing strategies, and it completely rocked his world. Fast forward, he doubled his revenue, then he tripled it, then he quadrupled it, and then he was able to not only move out of the house and get their own place and feel happy, but he was able to win back the respect of his in-laws. And now, I just called him the other day, and he's happier than ever. Her parents actually called him and said, you know, I feel like you don't even work anymore. Like, what do you do? You know, you guys keep traveling and doing all these fun things, and what changed? What happened? And that's been something that I've been very grateful to be able to teach him, and to see that before my eyes, the change of the man from before to the man afterwards. I'm going to show you step by step how to take advantage of this market and this opportunity. And of course, you can, spend 3 to 5 years trying to learn it yourself, but why would you try to learn it yourself when you have a proven system that you can follow and hit it out of the park?
So in the next video in this in-depth series, I convinced Chad to get very specific about just how this whole app business really works. He'll reveal 3 strategies that he says are the reason for the millions he's made so far as an appreneur. Plus, he'll show you some of the tools he uses and some of the custom tools he's created to generate the massive results that have made him an App Store millionaire. You're going to want to pay close attention to this because I talked Chad into showing us something he's never revealed to the general public. It's his super secret proprietary tool that translates App Store info into multiple languages, allowing you to tap into exploding markets in other parts of the world that you wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. Do me a favor, go ahead and leave a comment in the Facebook comment area below saying what your favorite iPhone app is, or you can just leave a question for Chad. I'll make sure he gets it and see if we can get you an answer. This is Mars of the Launchmen. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.